Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our really kind of short informational session on the New Mexico Clean Energy Resilience and Growth Cluster. And you may be wondering to yourself right now, well, what is NM CERG? And that's something that we're actually going to discuss today. What is NM CERG? What can we do? What is the goal of NM CERG? And how do we help clean energy companies across New Mexico take that next step towards commercial success and ultimate market viability? So what we want to cover today is really just a brief information about, what is CERG, what does CERG do, what are our goals, and some of the eligibility requirements to join NM CERG, and then learn a bit more about some of the tools and resources that are available right now to clean energy companies across New Mexico, and some of the ones that will actually be launching within the next roughly year or so. So the NM CERG team is made up of a number of employees and staff across Arrowhead Center at New Mexico State University. We have a few of them online today if they want to unmute and kind of really quickly introduce themselves.
I can go. Well, I guess it's still morning. Good morning, everybody. My name is Dana Catron. I am Deputy Director of Arrowhead Center and also Program Director of New Mexico CERG. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning, everyone. This is Carlos Murguia. I am part of the search team, and I'm working on the fixed prototyping lab assistance and the investment preparation course.
Good morning, my name is Aaron Stoddard. I am the program coordinator and I work primarily on onboarding new cluster members to NM CERG.
And I am Del Mackey. I'm the program manager for NM CERG and run a couple of the kind of innovation leaning support programs and support offerings through NM CERG. But so what is NM CERG? Well, NM CERG stands for, again, New Mexico Clean Energy Resilience and Growth Cluster. We are in collaboration with state and local entities, and we want to grow energy innovation across our region. So we're providing access to programs, access to resources, really just kind of the support that goes into getting energy companies and clean energy companies specifically towards that next step in commercial viability and success. NM CERG is actually funded in part through an award from the Department of Energy Office of Technology Transitions under their Energy Program for Innovation Clusters, our EPIC program. And we are funded for a 3-year period from October 2021 to September 2024. And the objectives of NM CERG are just to build a stronger innovation ecosystem that focuses on what are the things that energy technology startups need, what are the things that clean energy technology startups actually require, where are those gaps, where are those struggles, where are those hurdles, and how can we overcome those? We want to provide really just developmental support, both from the technical and the business side to startups in the clean energy space. And those across New Mexico, those leveraging the expertise and resources of the national labs, those that are connecting with the, my mouse is freaking out today, sorry about that. Those that are connecting with NMEDD, those that are even just interested in being a part of New Mexico, a part of the New Mexico ecosystem, and a part of, well, what drives the state of innovation in New Mexico? And we want to also provide kind of that strong foundation for things like technology transfer, technology acquisition opportunities, prototyping, rapid prototyping and manufacturing, those issues that really hold back a lot of our energy startups across New Mexico, those things that are a critical need where We hear that from a lot of clients. We just can't get this. We can't get access to this. If we only had this, we could really take that next step. And that kind of gets into our goals and our expectations as a program through Arrowhead Center. We want to have measurable impacts on the economic viability and growth of clean energy in New Mexico. And by measurable impacts, at the end of the 3-year period, we want to be able to step back and say, we mattered, we did something. We helped this many businesses take the next step. We helped launch this number of energy or clean energy related technologies. We helped this service company actually grow, hire more staff, kind of scale up from where they are and where they need to be. And there's also a really big focus on supporting the energy inequities across not only New Mexico, but the nation. So we want to really not necessarily focus exclusively on underrepresented populations, including rural populations, service-disabled, veteran-owned businesses, minority and women-owned businesses, those typical ones, but also where can we have those impacts in maybe lower income areas? Where can we actually make sure that energy and clean energy is fostered across a wider swath of New Mexico, maybe even on tribal and native lands? And we want to just create a pipeline for success model that can be easily replicated. We want to make sure that what we do, what we create, is an actual pipeline. No matter the stage of the energy company, no matter where they are in their development, no matter where they are with their technology, being able to go, okay, here's where you need to be, here's where you need to go. We have something for you. We have support for you. We have assistance for you. We have a program for you. We have a resource that you can actually tap into and be able to actually abstract that and say, okay, well, we did this for clean energy. Is this actually viable for data analytics? Is this viable for machine learning? Can we replicate this to other domains of influence? At the end of the day, we also want to be able to impact the dynamics of working towards the goals of the Energy Transition Act. So how do we align with where we need to be by that 2045 or 2050 kind of goalpost? What can we do to actually influence that? What can we do to make sure that New Mexico is on track to reaching that lofty net zero carbon production? So anybody that's within the assistance and development space across New Mexico knows that there's a lot of programs that are offered out there. There's a lot of assistance. There's a lot of accelerators. There's a lot of things that people do to help businesses along, help them take that next step, help them reach that next stage. And you may be going, well, how is NM CERG different? What is the thing that kind of sets us apart? And there's a couple of things that we think are maybe hallmarks, highlights, bookmarks for what we do. Use whichever terminology you want there. But one of the things that we believe sets NM CERG apart and is a real kind of differentiating factor, almost a value proposition for why NM CERG matters, is that we've developed a pipeline model so that participants then in NM CERG always know, okay, what is the next thing I can do? What is the next offering I can actually be put into? How do I transition between these? What makes sense for me to do now to grow my business for future success? And that's what we're trying to kind of focus on, is what are those next steps? What are those things that we offer that we can kind of string together that is a viable model for people? We don't want people going after one thing and then totally having to switch gears and going, well, I can develop this, I can grow this, or, I might have to switch gears, think about this differently. What is a way that they can actually be integrated into, here's where you are now, here's where you can be in the future. Let's help you take these next 5 steps. And we think that sets what NM CERG does a little bit apart from the pack. And one of the other aspects is clean energy is a lot of times hard to define. And we take a little bit wider stance on clean energy because yes, clean energy is green energy, it's green technologies, it's renewable energy, it's renewable technologies. But we also know that we're not going to get there tomorrow. We're not going to reach a fully clean and green future next year. There's going to have to be some mitigating things. There's going to have to be some transitional solutions. So things like better coatings on pipelines to reduce leakage of natural gas. Things like fuel improvements for current carbon generation. Things that actually remove carbon from the atmosphere right now. Things that are we can actually improve right now. We can have an effect right now, and we can actually take that next step and that next stage towards that green future, towards that fully carbon-free future. That's where we want to be. But it's going to have to be some learning hurdles and struggles to get there. And so we recognize that, and we say, if it is a technology that has an impact, helps us move towards a cleaner future, then to us, that is clean energy. And that's something that we can hopefully help launch, help get to the next stage, and help that business further define and develop. And then rather than focusing on a particular aspect of development and growth, we do have services and assistance for businesses no matter the stage they're at. So even if they're at the business formation stage and say, well, I need to actually figure this out. I need to see, is this a viable model? Do I have a customer market? Is there something I can do here? Well, we have programs for that. Or maybe they're all the way at, okay, I did a couple of rounds of funding here. I need to look at other ways to grow. I need to look at other things to do. I need to look at some kind of sustainment opportunities and scalability opportunities. Well, we have assistance there too. See, with NM CERG, the process is really kind of multi-layered and a bit complex. So our process is, people come in and they fill out a simple application. It's an online form, and we have to recognize that it's a technology, it's a service, it's a product, it's a model, it's a process. At the end of the day, it's some way for a company to drive revenues that has leanings towards energy impacts and clean energy focus. And the company has to either be in New Mexico, planning to relocate to New Mexico, or they have to be working on a project with some impacts in New Mexico. Maybe they're going to help shape the economic future of our state, or maybe they're going to help shape the energy and innovation ecosystem. Maybe they're going to provide those impacts into those low-income areas that can't afford solar cells on top of their homes. Maybe it's something along those lines. If we can recognize that there is the potential for them to help get New Mexico towards that Energy Transition Act goalpost, then there's a possibility that we can actually assist that company. Then after they fill out the application, we have a quick call with them, find out more about their stages, find out what they've done, find out where they want to be. What are their goals over the next 6 months? What's their goal over the next 1 year, 3 years? What can we actually do to help them get there? Because we want to make sure that anybody that's part of the cluster, anybody that we're actually helping, anybody that we're assisting, we have things that they can utilize. We don't just want numbers. We don't just want people where we say, okay, well, we have this many clients and we're successful. No, we want to show that there was traction. We want to show that there was transition. We want to show that people actually had movement. And then we have a double layer vetting. Again, we want to make sure that companies are viable both from a business as well as a technical standpoint. So is the technology that they're developing feasible? Is their idea something that actually works? Is there some just basic scientific validity to what they're creating? And then from a business standpoint, is there a market? Can they actually potentially make revenues off of this? Can they grow? Can they thrive? Do they have a business model that can be supported? Because we want to make sure that those companies that we assist do have that potential, that the companies that we're bringing in, the companies that we're helping kind of take that next step, have somewhere that they can land, that they will have lasting impacts into our state. And then we create a roadmap. So again, rather than just telling people, well, this is something you can do, or this is something you can go out there, this is something you can seek, this is something you can, potentially be interested in, we actually map it out for them. It's kind of easy to follow. It's a shareable form, so they always know where they are, they always know where they're at, and they always know that, okay, when I finish off with this, this makes the most sense. This is the thing I need to do now. Or I think I actually need to do this differently. And they can comment on it. They can let us know that we want to change. We want to actually do this. Is there some support here? And we'll reconfigure that for them. And then we don't just kind of leave them at the corner each time they finish something. We say, okay, well, you finish this off and, good luck. No, we help move them along. We help them transition between the different points so that we know that they did everything that they could through Surge, and then we have that kind of concierge service afterwards, where it's an alumni program. What can you actually do as a business? What is that tailoring towards you? What are some opportunities that you specifically, your business specifically, needs to be aware of? So this is kind of a bit of a messy chart, but this is really what that process looks like in a nutshell. As you can see, we do have spots where we're bringing in that technical expertise from like the labs, Sandia, Lanel, where we're bringing in okay, this is where technology development and growth actually fits. This is where business development and growth actually fits. We're trying to marry that idea that you can't develop one without developing the other at the same time, because we recognize that there's a lot of really great technologies out there that people spend a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of funding into taking the technology forward. And then they go, okay, well, now we got to figure out a market. Now we got to figure out a business plan. It's like, no, you don't do one without the other. Try and do them at the same time. Try to make sure you're matching your efforts and that you're not losing that, almost opportunity cost. And we do that across a bunch of different things that we can actually offer. And going to kind of go quickly through these. If anyone is interested in learning more about any of these modules, we'll have a little bit of a question and answer session towards the end of this. So do not hesitate to say, Del, can you talk more about maybe the intellectual property training course that we're putting together, which kind of goes into how do you patent, how do you utilize your portfolio? What are those things you need to know about putting together a strong application? Our investment preparedness training course, where we really dive into, based on clean energy, based on those factors for investment into the energy space, what do you need to be aware of? What are some venture capitalists, what are some funds that might be interested? How do you actually approach them? What are some things to consider when putting together your pitch deck? And you not only hear it from us, but you hear it from experts. In both of these courses, we have a lot of different interviews. The IP course will be launching later this month, and the investment preparedness course is already launched. Or maybe somebody seeking non-dilutive funding. They go, we want to be interested in, we want to go after venture capital funding in the future, but we need to get our feet wet. We need to actually make sure this is feasible. We need to test this out a little bit. Well, SBIR, STTR funding is an excellent opportunity to do that. And we support that. We support businesses going after, whether it's Department of Energy through our structured ACSA cohort, where it's 12 weeks long and you bite off a little bit of each portion of a proposal package each week, or whether it's going after other types of opportunities like NSF funding through SBIR and STTR, or maybe you recognize a need with Department of Defense and their SBIR programs. We do offer that support and we do offer that guidance. Or maybe you just need a little bit of developmental design help. Maybe you want to get together a rapid prototype, and maybe you want to get together something that's scalable that you can actually put in your hands and you can manipulate and you can kind of maneuver, and maybe you can show it to a customer and say, hey, that's, you know, a 1/100th scale. I can actually make that bigger, make that better, give you some real value behind my product. We have abilities in there through our Foster Innovation Exchange. Or maybe you just want to connect with the labs, connect with researchers. Maybe you have an idea and you go, I think there's a technology at Sandia that can really help me move forward. I'm interested in licensing it. Or I really have this great idea and I think that there's a researcher at LANL that can help me do something through some cooperative development. We can actually make those introductions, we can smooth that transition, and we can put you in touch with those subject matter experts that can help you take it forward and can help you take that kind of next step on technical development. There's a lot of different things that we cross in a lot of different areas that we really hone in on and say, for energy startups in New Mexico, these are the big issues. These are the things that we see that need to be addressed for them to get started on the right path. And that's what we're trying to do with Surge. At least get them started, at least get them setting their feet on the path and taking that first step of the journey of 1,000 miles. So talked a little bit about just kind of, you know, Surge overall, what we're trying to do. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's not just Arrowhead that's part of NM CERG. You know, we do have Arrowhead staff. We do kind of lay a foundation of, we've done these kind of activities before, we've done these kind of programs, let's bring these together, let's modify what we've done and put more of an energy focus on it. For anyone that isn't aware of Arrowhead, you know, we are the economic and entrepreneurial development arm of the New Mexico State University system. And we help small businesses across the state kind of take that next step. But we're not focused towards a specific domain. And NM CERG is focused towards energy. So we're taking what we've done, putting some modifications towards energy and going, this is energy relevant, this is energy important, this is kind of energy defining. But again, it's not just Arrowhead Center. We're also bringing in Sandia and Los Alamos. So we have LANL and Sandia that are both part of our program that do that technical development, that do that kind of technical feasibility, that are able to say, yeah, you know, science actually says that this works. So through both of these, through both of the labs, you provide access to, you know, subject matter experts, work with those innovators on, you know, maybe it's energy hardware development, maybe it's feasibility modeling, maybe it's testing and evaluation. There's something that the labs can more than likely offer. We actually make those connections, and then those labs say, wow, that's something we can do. That's a service we can provide. That's something we can help out with. Or maybe it's actually just getting them into some of the lab programs like Trigger or LEAP, which require a cooperative development agreement and really kind of showcase, yes, we can work together. We can actually help this move along. We can do this, we can grow. And we're also kind of partnering with New Mexico Economic Development Department to know where are those gaps, where are the things that the businesses that they're helping, the businesses that come to them say, we're missing this, we need this. We're an energy company, where do we go for assistance? Because we know a lot of companies, but we don't know every company. NMEDD knows a heck of a lot more companies than we do, and they can actually put us in touch. They can actually help us find those companies and modify what we're doing to address those challenges and address those gaps. And we have a wide array of stakeholders as well, whether it's other economic development organizations across the state, whether it's other, you know, institutes of higher learning like UNM or, you know, New Mexico Tech, whether it's other federal labs, maybe it's Air Force Research Lab, Or maybe it's even DOE funded labs outside of the state. Maybe somebody goes, well, I see a potential there at NRO, or I want to actually talk to a researcher at INL. We're trying to make those connections and trying to get those stakeholders to be a part of NM CERG, because we want to make sure that the cluster we have, the cluster we're developing, and the cluster we're trying to grow has the capabilities and capacities that people need to tap into. So you've got a lot of background about NM CERG now, and you're probably thinking, well, this sounds really great, but what's the catch? Why does CERG make sense? Why does CERG make sense for New Mexico? Hopefully I'll address some of those questions here, because New Mexico is a really great place to grow clean energy. You know, everybody knows about the Energy Transition Act. We have to get clean energy technologies. We have to get, carbon neutral. We have to get maybe even, carbon positive, do a lot of reductions. We want to be a clean and green state, but there's going to be some challenges there. There are going to be some things we need to do, but there's a lot of potential within our state for that. New Mexico is the 6th largest in geothermal potential. And people often forget that geothermal is a valid renewable energy technology. It's a valid way for clean and green energy. We also have the lowest cost of renewable electricity in the US at the grid inspection point. So we're a lot lower than the national average. And with rising costs of electricity, inflation, those aspects are going to become critical in the future. If we can provide the lowest cost for energy, if we can provide the lowest cost for electricity, it's going to make New Mexico a banner state for the entire nation. And we have the best mix of solar and wind. So we cover not only geothermal, but solar and wind as well. 3 out of the 4 green technologies, because usually you include water in that, blue and hydro. Not a lot of water in New Mexico, but we cover the other 3 in spades. So we are a really great opportunity state for clean energy to grow, clean energy to thrive, and for us to say, this is a model that can actually be replicated. This is a model that other people can use. Come to New Mexico, get your foundation, get your start, grow, sustain your business, and then potentially branch out to other states, branch out to other areas. Provide clean energy and renewable technologies to Texas or California, but start in New Mexico. It makes the most sense to be here, because we do have that really great ecosystem, whether it is the researchers at the federal labs that really do that great kind of support. And there's a lot of things that businesses can tap into, but maybe they don't have the means or the knowledge of how to tap into that and how to actually utilize that ecosystem. Or maybe the state support for energy projects, but people don't know that kind of support infrastructure. They don't know what they can actually define, develop. It can be daunting to know where those knowledge points are and how they need to kind of move across that map. Or even not knowing about the really great incentives for doing business in New Mexico, because New Mexico has some of the best incentives for, tax credits, the best incentives for job training, the best incentives just for business growth of any state. But people aren't aware of that, and they don't know how that can actually be tapped into for their clean energy business. They don't know what they can actually utilize. And so that's why we're not only focused on New Mexico companies, but those companies that can be recruited into New Mexico, those companies that we say, you can have an impact in New Mexico. Come talk to us, come stand up operations here, come see why our state can be the foundation for your energy business. And it's not just about the innovation ecosystem, but it's also about that support that the entrepreneurial ecosystem offers, and how Arrowhead Center has a really strong foundation in that. It's not, again, just us going, well, DOE believed in us, you should believe in us too. No, we have a track record. We have things that we've launched in the past. We have things that we've done for those imaginative students that want to start a business, that say, I see a need here. I see something I can do. I see something that I can actually affect in the future. Our collaboration with industry, getting into the heart of it with not only the small businesses, but those larger integrators, the larger businesses across the state that are working in energy or just working in energy aligned technologies and areas. Our governmental support, besides the national labs, having a really great traction point and foothold into some of the federal agencies through like our SBIR support program, or just the amount of capital that's available throughout the city, throughout the state, with funding through some of our fund to funds or some of the venture capital and angel groups that are very active within our state. New Mexico is all about taking risks and taking risks for those things that are going to really kind of catapult us and launch us towards that future of we are an innovative state, we are a tech aligned state, we are a tech thriving and tech growing state. So that's what NM CERG is trying to be for energy. And we just want to help. So if you are a clean energy company, if you are a clean energy business, if you are just energy aligned and you go, I've reached a threshold or I've reached a point that I'm not sure the next path to take, or you're working with one of those companies and you say, okay, well, I know that there's a lot of support out there. What can I get them into? What can I help them move towards? What are the resources they need to be aware of? What are those things they need to tap into? What are those tools and kind of developmental points that will support them on their journey to ultimate success? Let them know about Surge, or come talk to us about Surge. We want to talk to everybody. It's not just about right now. We do have a plan for continuing this beyond the 3 years. How do we sustain this? Because we don't want to just be well, we had a grant, we did what we were going to do. It worked out. Now it's off to another thing. We believe in this. We believe in what Surge can do. We believe in what clean energy can do for our state. And we believe that there needs to be that catalyzing point for it. And we want to be that catalyzing point. So we're looking at sustaining this beyond that 3 years. What can we do to make sure that there is a clean energy cluster for New Mexico companies, until we get to that 2050 mark or even beyond? So at the end of the day, come talk to us. Come find out more about Surge. Come talk to us about what we do, the modules we offer, the assistance we offer, how you connect with us, how you can actually be a partner or a stakeholder, how you can help drive what Surge does, what we focus on, and how we help those clean energy companies get to the next stage of success. So now we have time for questions from the audience. If you want to find out a little more about Surge, some of the modules we offer, some of the assistance we do, or some of the things that we're trying to set up in the future so that we're always ahead of the curve. If there are, I see Patricia, you have your hand up.
Hi, test. I think I'm on sound. Thanks, Del. What an interesting presentation. It's a fantastic model. When you mentioned that it could be translated to other sectors besides clean energy, as well as other regions, have you guys made much, have you given any thought to water as a complementary sector to energy?
We have, and that's because, there are a lot of kind of energy innovations and developments that are going into hydro right now. There is a really kind of growing blue economy. It, of course, is tough with New Mexico and being very, very far away from any real source of water, but we've actually been attending a few different conferences and a few different workshops and summits devoted towards energy and making those, hey, can this actually work for blue? Can this work for hydro? How does this need to be modified? So I can say, yes, we're very interested in blue. It's not a focal point right now just because it's hard for us to do anything related to blue, the blue economy, but it's something we're very interested in, if nothing else.
Gotcha. Well, there's a pretty direct trade very often with energy takes water to produce. And so because we're sitting in a drought climate, really, it's not just a condition, it's the state of affairs here. I just wonder where water's playing into some of this, but that's great work. Thank you so much.
Let's see, Sue, can I share more about the Lab Embedded Entrepreneur Program? So LEAP is something that is offered by the national labs on a rotating basis. It is actually fully by the labs. Both Lionel and Sandia actually collaborate on a LEAP program. And because it is a lab program, I can tell you that there is the ability for really high-tech entrepreneurs to get embedded into the labs for further development of their idea. There's stipends, there's a requirement that they have to be in New Mexico, but beyond that, it is a lab program, and I would be misspeaking if I was speaking for the labs, but I can make sure to share information with you. I know it's a great program. I know it's something that the labs do, and I know it is a once a year kind of solicitation cycle. Entrepreneurs have to apply to it, and it's a pretty in-depth application. But other than that, I can definitely put you in touch with someone from the labs that can speak towards that, because I don't want to put words in their mouths.
And actually, really quick on LEAP, LEAP is the only lab program that is open to non-New Mexico companies. So it's open across the country with the contingency that the entrepreneur has to move to New Mexico during the program to work directly with the labs. And I put the, oh, Eric, thank you for putting the link in the chat.
Right. Any other questions? Eric.
Yeah, sure. I'll throw one in there. And I guess it's pretty an open question. I'm wondering, as you've put this program together, and first of all, excellent presentation. Thank you very much. Love the graphics and the way this has been thought through. As you've been putting this together, I'm wondering, what have you seen that might still be a gap, or what areas do you think our states still needs to develop in order to make the path for entrepreneurs and diffusion of innovation easier?
So that's actually a really great question. And I will say that there are two areas that we kind of recognize still need to be worked on. And it's because they're definitely two areas that we don't cover, but many of our applicants and many of our participants have had interest in. One is workforce development. So workforce development, getting internship opportunities, getting students, having that focus on what can we do related to energy? How do we get those energy aligned, energy trained, industry aligned, industry trained students, or even just returning workers, growing workforce. There's been a lot of interest in that area. I know that there are some programs that like DACC offers for kind of the solar technicians, line technicians, things like that. So I think that needs to, I think there's a great foundation there, and it needs help to grow and develop, whether it be funding, whether it be more students, whatever that needs to be. And then manufacturing and distribution. So a lot of the companies that come to us, I won't say a lot of the companies, there have been a significant number of them though that say, well, who do we actually go to create this? I need some manufacturing help. I need some manufacturing partners. And the MEP program is an amazing program to kind of figure out, okay, how do I scale this? What can I do for manufacturing? What can I do for, some small supply chain? But if we are going to be a leader in clean energy and clean energy technologies, It's a matter of scaling to not 1,000 units a day, but 10,000 or 100,000 units, probably not a day, but a month. So what can we do in that? Where are those kind of large manufacturers? Where are those large distribution partners? And where are those large supply chain partners? So I think those are two critical areas, and they're not really developmental areas. They're definitely further along, but those are going to be gaps for companies to actually grow beyond the small business set aside of 500 employees. We want more very large industry players in clean energy. We're going to have to take care of those two areas, I think. And if any of the other Surge team members want to chime in on that one, that's just my opinion. All right. Well, if there are no other questions, that's going to actually finish us out. This was recorded, so we'll make sure to get a copy of the recording, a copy of the slide deck out to everybody. And we did capture information in the Eventbrite, so you'll get an email from me with a link to the recording, copy of the slides, and feel free to reply to that email. Just if you want to find out more about Surge, if you want to find out more about what we do, or if you want to find out that what you're developing could actually be a fit for Surge and we could give you assistance and help you take that next step, just have that conversation with me. We want to help companies. We want to help thriving and growing companies. And again, at the end of the day, we just want to matter when it comes to clean energy and the clean energy ecosystem of our great state here. So thank you all very much, and looking forward to hearing more from everybody that was here and just answering more questions about what is Surge.